Hey, everybody, welcome to the Free Mind Podcast. It is Tuesday, January 16th, and we have Laura Wayland, a three business owner, seven locations. She is the owner of Chips Wine and Beer Bar, Front Porch Cafe, and the founder of Outer Banks Olive Oil down in North Carolina. Will you guys take it easy and just jump in and check out Laura's story?
Thanks so much for taking the time today and talking with us. Yeah, I wanted to kind of jump in and really just go right to the diversity of your portfolio as an asset management structure and your location and kind of how that environment of your location services your business.
We're in the Outer Banks in North Carolina, so we get a huge tourism base, but we also cater a lot to our locals. We love our locals, people that live here, second homes as well. So the Outer Banks has really grown as a area, especially since COVID. Many people wanted to move to the beach. They were able to work from home. So, we're even doing post-COVID numbers are bigger than we were doing, in 2019. So this area has definitely exploded. We are looking to, keep growing with our coffee shops, and we have olive oil. We've started that like 10 years ago. We've been in the craft beer and wine space for, a really long time. But we opened the olive oil store because we actually were selling one olive oil in Chips Wine and Beer. So I started as a stay-at-home mom, and I, did this in-home wine tasting party company, kind of like Pampered Chef for wine. I loved it. It was amazing. Well, the company ended up closing. So yeah, as they say, one door closes, another door opens. What in the world am I going to do? I Google searched Outer Banks wine shop for sale, and up popped this little wine shop that I went into, dragged my two little kids in the rain and had them sit on the floor while we looked like we were stalking and stealing things in the store. We were being followed around by the employees because we were kind of stalking the store. Loved the store. Like, it was exactly the type of wine shop that I would have wanted to own. It had this whole like very cool vibe that was like a little bit louder. You didn't walk into there and have to like whisper, what's that wine? You felt really comfortable. And they were doing craft beer, which was really like a brand new kind of thing back in 2010. It was just like the beginning of craft beer. So, Dogfish Head was the big name of the game back then. We were just getting in like a lot of imports and things like that. And people were just starting to get exposed to all of the different types of beers. And IPA was like a brand new word to most people.
That's and like I was telling you before we started recording, inadvertently before we started, I didn't realize, and I've been an avid customer of my family of yours for many, I'd say about since you opened that, I'd say, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Into that area, and was very happy to see that go through. And I'll give you credit as well that, nowadays you see a lot of those olive oil type stores around, but you were definitely, it was a unique situation, like going on the trend and being really ahead of that.
Yeah, I mean, when we first decided to do it, it was in the brink of, how do we add to Chips Wine and Beer? We thought, let's add a tasting room, right? We'll had like a bar, and this was a brand new. I mean, I know all the stores have this now, but this was a brand new concept, and there was no bars in your wine and beer store. And so we were like, let's add a bar, and what if we had, six olive oils or something like that? And so I'm starting investigating suppliers, found a fantastic supplier, which we still use to today. And they were like, why don't you do a standalone store? And we're like, hey, yeah, okay, let's see. So we kind of explored that, ended up opening that. People would ask me, so what, olive oil, taste it? Like, yeah, they were like, I think they actually said that's stupid. Like, I think that was the words that people. And I was like, no, you just don't get it. Like, as soon as you like experience it, you're gonna think it's as awesome as I think it is. So yeah, so it was a slow start for sure. And as people just started to like kind of linger it, and be able to taste them, then they saw the difference. They really saw the difference with what they were getting in the grocery store. So that made a huge difference.
We'll talk about all three businesses, but inside of there as well, like for consumer side of things, I mean, how many different, I mean, you have dozens of different types of olive oil in there in balsamic.
Yes.
Yeah.
We probably have 60 different oils and vinegars. Yeah, balsamic vinegars.
And when
So
you're a consumer
high-end
going in there,
stuff.
when you're a consumer going in there, you also have these variety packs, which we bought. We actually bought for tons of different people for Christmas this past year. I actually, no, I should have thought about that before I came over. I still have your olive oil bottles are on our kitchen
Oh,
table.
cool.
Yeah, the little samples, because
The little one.
we like so many of them. We just ended up getting about 20 of the little ones, and then buying.
Yeah, that's the perfect gift, especially if you don't know what you want to give people.
Yep.
So we do a massive amount of online sales. So the
All right,
online
perfect. So they don't have to walk inside, and they can just hop on.
exactly. And COVID that really exploded. You couldn't even have imagined like how much people supported us and wanted to make sure that we were still there afterwards, buying gift certificates. And we ended up having to close two of the locations. The one attached to Chips Wine and Beer got to stay open because we're essential, and wine and beer is essential. And so that one stayed open, and we were able to start shipping out of that, and did as much sales as we would have done in store. So we were really grateful for that. We pivoted and started doing cooking videos, which are still posted online. If you'd like to go watch me they're all on Facebook, I think. There might be some on YouTube, but we did cooking segments. We did wine tastings. We were doing, everything we could to survive. A lot of it gave us something to do. We did blind wine tastings. We were doing happy hour like every Friday and Saturday, shipping people wines, and they were tasting right along with us. I think that's why we all drank too much.
Well, yeah, as far as olive oil goes, you guys' locations that I experienced are all very perfect. The one specifically right there at the main intersection across from the swim area, right before in Outer Banks, before you get to the bridge, by the seafood. I'm trying to remember. I'm horrible at giving directions as far as that goes.
Yeah, Post 6 is the one you're probably thinking of.
Yep. So yeah, easy, hop, skip, and a jump right off the beach there if you need to restock or refill that cooler. As far as Chips Wine and Beer, how long have you guys been in business for that? And that was the original, I'd say.
Yeah,
right?
that was the original. So we bought it from a guy named Chip who opened it in 2005, and we bought it from him in 2010.
Excellent.
So yes, we're going into, almost 14 years now. So amazing. Yeah, amazing how that space has really changed over time. We went from, Dogfish Head's the name of the game, right? To very small, so many breweries are opening up. You can't now it was what do we pick? Now we could be selective. Then there was so many one-offs and allocated things and stuff like that. So we're trying to make sure, hey, if there's one case coming into the Outer Banks, we want to make sure it's coming to us because we're the first people doing it. So then it became okay, now craft beer is going in the grocery store. Now craft beer is in, the station. So, we kind of had to go a little bit more unique and small and start looking for the up and coming, breweries. And just now we definitely have to be picky and choosy. You can't just we literally used to have everything that was available.
Yeah. It's hard to do that now. And even from you guys from a local standpoint, I mean, years ago, there wasn't as many breweries in that area. And now there are a ton of them. So it is even harder for you guys, even a Dogfish Head, which might have been the lead dog, pun intended, and that race. It was also now it might not even be on the top 10 because of so many local ones that
I mean, you can get that pretty much anywhere. I think we might carry one or two of the more unique specialty ones. And just, now we're looking at more North Carolina and being kind of regionally relevant. Lots of craft breweries opening up in that Hampton Roads, Virginia area too. Many have closed. I mean, this is very competitive. It wasn't something people can jump into super easy. You got used to make good beer. That's
true. But also at the same time, I think that one thing that I appreciate about the way you structure your businesses from a portfolio standpoint of what's available inside of them is sometimes in a tourist area, while people like to enjoy what's local, because of those breweries around, they don't necessarily support those breweries in those certain areas. I'm not speaking about you. I'm actually using you as the exception, the compliment. In the sense, a lot of times you get in there and it's just Bud Miller Coors. It's kind of like the Applebee's idea where they're like, well, let's make it comfortable for them wherever it was at their home. Let's make it just as comfortable here. And not to say you make it uncomfortable, but you give a really good opportunity where somebody doesn't necessarily they can experience all the products that are local without having to drive all over the place to go find them, as well as be able to see them. And
right, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and that is a huge focus. We've got a lot of other local products and local food products and local other items to really be supportive of, North Carolina beer and just kind of like putting that focus too. So our olive oil store down in the outlets in Nag's Head, we do draft beer. We pretty much are specifically to North Carolina. There might be like a couple of randomish ones, but we pretty much try to tailor it just because that location tends to get more tourism, less local business down at the outlets. But we do wine tastings there, cheese plates. We have, cigars. It's not as extensive of a beer wall as we have at Chips. We definitely have like over 600 beers at Chips. And we pretty much have as much beer as we start tailoring it down now this time of year in the winter. You don't want old beer. So, we're starting to have to really watch those dates that the distributors are bringing in. They'll slide them in on you. And then you're like, this was old. So you do have to watch some dates this time of year, but we start trying to like really kind of tailor the inventory to what we think people are going to buy. And a lot of breweries right now, I mean, like they're, looking at what people buy, right? IPAs, sours. We're not seeing a lot of different variety, seltzers, not seeing a lot of different variety actually from a lot of the breweries because they're going to do what sells. Right?
Exactly. And at the same time that you're saying about the space, they understand on the flip side, they can't come into a place and ask for 6 SKUs anymore. 10 years ago, I spent 15 years in brand management with the wholesale level in Pennsylvania. I was actually a Dogfish Head brand manager. So when you mentioned about the one case coming and you had to do all the requirements
yes,
of the year.
That was big for that one. Like you want that Bourbon County? That's yeah. You want Bourbon County?
That was my job to do the allocations when I was the brand manager, and I for the first time, I used to have an email printed out and it was on my wall, and I won't share the name of the account, but it was a borderline about a dog.
Yeah, I think I might have threatened a few reps myself. They're still friends, but it's all fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I used to keep that up there, and I sent that to them one time, and I said, "You listen, look at these allocations are doing to me." But no, it's I think, and then also with Front Porch Cafe, interesting that you have. When somebody comes down to the Outer Banks, you can be an experience for them in the morning, the afternoon, the evening. I think
right there you go.
That's what I wanted to say about the way you structure your portfolio. It's a rain or shine, night or day. You can touch point any tourist as far as where they go, and I just think it's fantastic there. So with that, were you always in the hospitality industry before the investments, or what's the story prior?
It's interesting. So when I was younger, I mean, I have a sociology degree. I don't know that gets you much of a job, but
it makes sense as to how you understand what you're doing.
I do, but I definitely started off. I was a party planner. I had my own business. I've always been very entrepreneurial. When we found, then I got into wine, doing that wine company, which I loved that company. I had the best time doing that. When they closed, I was devastated. So it was kind of looking for like, what's the next opportunity? Had never owned my own business before, besides, my little tiny, here I'm doing party planning and wedding coordinating, which was just me. I didn't have any employees or anything like that. So buying chips and getting a bank loan in 2010 in the middle of a recession when we had no collateral, no money. I was 32, my husband was 30. The only thing we had was our 401k, which only had $25,000 in it. And we took it out and borrowed the rest from the bank. It's just kind of a crazy story at this point that
the bank put all the chips down. Yeah,
we did. I equate it to like, we put it all in black. Yep. Fortunately, it really worked out for us. It could have gone the other way. It didn't, but there was hard work for sure where I, worked at Chips, and for like 9 years, I was the manager and I had 2 employees. So now I have over 50 employees.
Wow.
It's definitely grown. It's definitely bigger. Now we've added the coffee shop. So Front Porch Cafe, we bought that from a previous owner. So Front Porch has been there since 1999. Are located next door. Well, one of the locations is located next door to Chips Wine and Beer. So we knew the owners for years and years. When we actually 5 years ago opened the outlets olive oil store, and were asked by the management at the outlets to put in a coffee bar. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, let me call my friends at Front Porch, see if they'll help me. They did. So I think that was like my first little test, right? And they were like, maybe she could do that. Because they were about, they're about to retire. So a couple of years later, they came to us to see if we were interested in purchasing Front Porch. So We have now really grown Front Porch immensely. We've increased the sales by like 30% in the last 2 years. We're having a record year this year, which is amazing, and we're excited to add more front porches. I've always had a passion now that I have done this from like the ground up, teach people how to do it. Like I've seen other businesses open, actually saw wine and beer stores open and close. I saw people, I've seen people open in businesses and close, and there's sometimes you look at it and it's so obvious. Like I've even had people, attempt for us to buy their olive oil store, and they'll lawyers or whatever send over their P&L, and I mean I can look at it and just say, this is your problem, right? So it's great to just be able to, like, I would love to be able to share the knowledge and be able to like help someone grow into their dream like the way that we have been able to.
And with that said, are you looking at franchising models or anything like that for any of your entities?
Definitely for Front Porch. So Front Porch has an existing FDD set up already. We are looking to hopefully just organically grow in North Carolina and Virginia first, but we're obviously open to other states as well. But we think that makes the most sense as like as a strength of a brand to grow like that. So we're definitely looking up to the Hampton Roads, Virginia, Richmond, Northern Virginia area. I think Northern Virginia area. I mean, most of the customers that come down to the Outer Banks are from these areas, although we do get a lot of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio is big too. But my husband and I have always said, I'm not even why a beer brand didn't launch from here. Like it's like you could have a nationwide beer brand from this location because of all the people that come here and they go back home, right? Like, and everybody, it's like when people come in and they ask for like some beer that they had on vacation, right? Kalik when they were in the Bahamas, right? And they want that. And they're like, yeah, this is good. Well, I was like, it's
Red Stripe when they get back from Jamaica.
yeah, you were sitting on the beach and like it, potentially it can bring back like those great memories because it's really associated with like drinking that beer, even though the beer is not that great, right? At that particular time, and you're laying it on the beach in the sun and like with your family or friends or loved ones, and it just like evokes a great memory. So
yeah, that core memory and the neurogastronomy are just burned.
Yeah, I'm like, let's put a front porch so you can be on vacation at your house.
No, you're exactly right. And like you said, I mean, it's between that and the e-commerce as other parts for Front Porch. Is that something? Are the coffees able to be shipped out as well?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. So the beans can be shipped out.
Yes. So we have a very active website from porchcafe.com. We ship out all of our coffees. We also have gift cards. We also have an app too, so people can order and kind of skip the line. Sometimes in the summer, that gets to be a little bit crazy, and you don't have 20 minutes to wait. So you can just order on the app and then come pick it up and not have to stand in the line or just sit on your car and wait for it to be ready. Yeah, so that gives you a lot of, and then all of our beans, and you can order them with different grounds, whole bean, however you like it, in different sizes, and all that's available on our website, as well as other like Front Porch merchandise and stuff like that.
Very nice. And I'll go back over to the olive oil for a second. If anybody goes into there with the olive oil retail, there's more than just olive oil. So that everybody knows it's more than it's beer, wine, and then a ton of accessories. So if you get down there and you're trying to host a party at your rental property on the beach and you forgot that charcuterie board or all those other accoutrements.
Exactly. We've got all that. Everything. Yeah. All that, like the fixins for your entertainment and things like that.
In addition to very unique gifts too, locally made gifts that you don't find in the other tourist areas.
Yes, for sure. So we kind of like, if we can focus on grabbing a lot of local products, ton of stuff, even artwork and things like that in Front Porch, that's local art. We try to be supportive of our local artists. People love, different things like that are made here and say Outer Banks on them. So
Absolutely. And are you for the winter time, do you off season, like certain areas up here in the Mid-Atlantic, they close down for the winter? Do you guys close any of your entities, or you open year round?
We don't. Yeah, we don't close. We do to having like this year round kind of job, which I think kind of really, really does help, having something that doesn't just shut down. So many restaurants here do close, but there's a lot that don't close. We used to close our Duck olive oil store in January and February, but we have not for the last 3 years. And even now it's picking up the off season. And I've really kind of like the business mindset of keeping I'm going to lose money in January, February. I mean, that's just a fact. I'm going to lose money. And then you hope to start breaking even in April. Like it's just kind of
exactly right. Yeah, you
kind
have
of the thing.
you have that
Yeah.
double stick for the January, February, because you have tourist part in December, January, and then the alcohol is in general is already a little slower at that time too.
Yeah, everything just right, and people are not drinking on the beach. I mean, you just have less people. There's just not enough. But I always am a firm believer in just like I have a fantastic staff. Like I say I have the best staff on the beach because I do.
I would
But
agree. I asked a lot of questions when I was in there. They were very helpful.
oh, good. Well, I wanted to make sure that people still have a job, right? So I'm going to lose money. If we can bring some in and that goes back to them, then I'm good. I'm happy. If that keeps them in a job, because so many places do close, people have to go on unemployment for like X period of time and then they come back and then they're, having to work. But most places open back up by like March 1st or so, something around there. But all of them are open. Matt and I even work at Chips on Thanksgiving Day. I think only 2 years out of the last 14 have I not, because I had an employee like volunteer that just like didn't really want to go home. Not everybody wants to be home on Thanksgiving. So,
And actually, one thing I want to talk about too is the husband and wife dynamic.
yes.
So I don't often get husband and wife dynamics in here. So how is it working with your husband day to day? You can spill the beans all over.
I know. Well, it's funny that you asked that. So when we went to go get that bank loan, he's like helps me with the power, presentation. He's great. Like do all my little graphs and things like that. The bank loves that stuff. They love like graphs and charts and stuff like that. So he did all that for me. And we went in to get the loan. And then they said, yeah, it's always a concern, right? I think a lot of marriages break up over this kind of thing. But he said, so what happens? Like, who's in charge? He said, she's in charge. This is yeah. So he actually works a full-time job. Though the goal is to have him come, work full time for us eventually. So, but right now that's, we don't need that yet, but hopefully we're building and building so that it gets to the point where he would be kind of forced to quit. So I think he would love that. He would really love that. But yeah, I mean, definitely we've gotten to, banks are always concerned about that, right? So, and tell you the truth, like times we disagree, but ultimately one person has to make the decision. And there's been people he said I should fire and I didn't fire, or and I do end up firing them, or, but you have to learn these lessons along the way and you kind of have to come to some agreement. And there's definitely times we haven't agreed for sure on like what path take, but we're mostly on the same path of growth, right? Like we've known each other since we were like 19, 20 years old. So I'm not going to say how old we are now, but we've been married for a long time.
Well, and I was looking at it from the aspect that what a thing to create with. I mean, it's one thing to, I assume you have children. You said your daughter's, yeah. So yeah, it's one thing for that, and it's another for a business entity with all the stresses that come with that too. And in the positive side, I mean, you guys have been around for as long as you have the multiple entities and continue to expand. So future is very bright for what I can see from what your end. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And your kids learn a lot too. I mean, they grew up in the stores, like I told you, from that very first day being dragged in and sitting on the floor to, being dragged. They've painted stores. They've helped it, like whether they knew that they were, just kind of sitting there on the side. There was, dust in bottles. They used to clock in at Chips to work, and dust bottles. And I think they put out a tip jar one time. The employees thought that was a good idea. Like, this is a great idea. People are tipping.
Those are the best. I look fondly at the photos of I have photos of my daughter and my son sitting on top of pallets full of kegs and cases and stuff. And they had no idea what it was. They just thought it was the coolest thing to be in the warehouse with all that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, they definitely, we did open a second Chips Wine and Beer, which we ended up selling after 5 years to one of my employees who actually has it. It's renamed now. It's called Boonies. They're in Marietta, North Carolina, about an hour from us, and he's still doing awesome and great. So super proud of him. So that my kids helped do the whole build out. We've got pictures of them painting on the ladder, stuff coming in. And I actually, because I had to work 7 days a week, and was just, it's a hard thing, like starting a business in the beginning. And my kids would get dropped off on the bus. The bus stopped at Chips Wine and Beer, and then would keep going. And so apparently one of the parents called into the school and was like, every day the bus driver is going to Chips Wine and Beer. And they were like, wow, there's a bus stop there. Like, yeah, the bus driver, she can't wait. She just got to stop, get her stuff, keep going.
That's so fun. It's so funny you said that because like there's a similar story that I've always tell people that it's a buddy of mine that he was a sales rep with me, and he had his kid at daycare, but one of his accounts he had two bars across the street. So he would always go to the accounts, and that was like he would come in and circle in and do his sales call, and then he would pick up his daughter. And the parents kept seeing him over there. They actually told the daycare that he's been like drinking, and they picks up the kid. They pull him aside after the one day, and they're like, "Have you been drinking?" He's like, "No, I haven't been drinking." What do you mean? They're like,
I'm
"Oh,
working.
you're at the bar every day, and then you come over and grab." He's like, "No, no, no, I'm a salesman." Like, like it's one of those things that people into our industry, the things that we look at as normal, sometimes
Right.
can be very not normal to a
Yeah,
lot of
of course
people.
the kids have to go to the wine and beer store every day. God. So yeah, so my kids, yeah, spent every day after until 7 o'clock when we closed. We set it all up in the back. We had like a direct TV and a couch and a little kitchenette, and they have like their desks back there. So, they don't know anything different at this point, but hopefully I think, they're 20, almost 20 now and 21. So I think they've learned a lot of like hard work lessons. I mean, they definitely know like success doesn't come without a lot of hard work. And I mean, and it could have just easily gone the other way, right? Some people work really, really hard and then life happens, right? But
Work
I,
hard and never get anywhere, and that's you're
yeah,
exactly
it's true. I mean, if you keep failing, you just keep trying, like keep trying, something's going to work, right? Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
That's perfect. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Time, and I'll send you a January or so.
Awesome. Cool. Thank
And
you
if
so
you
much.
you can spot it. And so awesome to finally have one of these where it's somebody that I've been supporting for a while.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's a small world, right?
I'll let you know next time we get down there, and I'll see if I can track you down at one of the locations and say hi.
Okay, yeah, I'll swing by. I live right behind the store, so not far.
You have a great rest
Are
of
you
your
looking
day.
for a way to
You
grow your
too.
business,
Bye-bye.
reach new customers, and increase your sales? If so, you need the Free Mind Group, founded in 2008 and a provider of creative and strategic solutions for the food and beverage industry. Whether you need branding, marketing, product development, or innovation, the Free Mind Group can help you achieve your goals and unleash your potential. Visit our website at thefreemindgroup.com and get a free consultation today. Thank you for listening and see you next time.